Hello, teacher. I hope you are well. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to learn once again with this meaningful activity. I'm going to present what I did for this class. I'm going to share my screen right now. All right, so for today, the activity was to how to assess reading in the classroom, correct? So we have to prepare two activities with their corresponding rubrics. And here I'm gonna present them. The first activity is a very basic activity for, let's say, elementary and medium primary, elementary or middle school. And it's retelling. So students will first brainstorm elements of the story, which are character, setting, problem, solution, and depending on the activity, we could ask sequence of events, just the ending, beginning, middle, end, etc. Students will read the title, see the cover, and infer the content of the story. Of course, always inferring, making predictions is important to go beyond the student's knowledge. Maybe with some guidance, the student can reach that zone of I think it's approximation, a zone where students go beyond their level, but with the guidance of the teacher. Students also will read the story and brainstorm corresponding elements, okay, from it. So if at the beginning of the story they brainstorm the actual names of these elements, now they will brainstorm these elements from the story they read. Who are the characters of the story? When and where is the story happening? What is the problem of the story? What was the solution? What was the ending? And students will participate to retell the story with organization and mentioning all the elements. So this is a basic retelling story where they must remember and mention these elements. This is the story I chose for this activity. Is Maria's Celebration. It's a Raskits or Raspla's book. There's a series of this, and it's Maria and Carlos, which is a Mexican family who moved to New York, to United States, and they portray these traditions so Americans can also get familiar with their foreign citizens. And this will be the rubric for story retelling, sorry. These are the criteria, comprehension elements. We have the elements of the story. We have other details that students can mention. For example, they could mention some things about their own knowledge, their own world. Okay, they could mention experiences that can relate to the story. And here, well, it says that significant and accurate details. This could be, for example, experiences. This could be maybe a movie or another story that they could have read in the past that could relate to this one. And also inferences, predictions, and conclusions. Maybe this could be evaluated when they are retelling their story, or I could evaluate this in the previous stage where I told them to, or I tell them to infer from the cover and the title of the book. It is a really simple rubric. It is a very simple activity, but I think it's directed especially to students with a low level or elementary middle school students who are still grasping what is reading and comprehension. And for the second activity, I have another reading and comprehension activity, which is a little bit more advanced. The story is about Chen. This is a very famous story. In other versions, he's called Ping. But the name of the story is The Empty Pot. It's a very nice story about a boy who goes to the emperor's palace, and the emperor, who doesn't have a child, who doesn't have especially a boy who can be the next emperor. He tells the kids that they have to plant this seed that he's going to give them, but the plant is really spoiled, it's boiled, so the kids cannot grow anything from it. Next year, in a few months, I don't know, the kids have to go to the palace with the result. Everyone have this beautiful flowers, these beautiful plants, thinking that they might have a chance to be the next empress or emperor. But Chen is the only one who goes with the empty pot. And this pot is, well, I think it's my interpretation from the story, is actually filled with values: respect, honor, um, honesty. Okay, so it is a very interesting story. I have used it before, and I thought it would be a good idea to use it for this activity. So students, at the beginning of the class, this will be a more extended activity because it is a more advanced level. Students will say what they expect from a president, a prime minister, an emperor, a king, or a queen. And again, they will see the cover and the title of the book to infer some things from the story. I like to do this every time we're going to read, because students, I think when they are prepared, or at least they think they are prepared to face what is in the story, they get a little bit more, I would say they are more open to learn, and they get main idea easily. Also, students will read this in pairs. Sometimes it's a good idea just to change a little bit, to do a reading activity in groups or in pairs, and answer some simple comprehension questions. And each pair will elaborate questions and diagrams to show understanding of the story. I'm going to explain this with the rubric I chose for this activity. This rubric is more specific than the last one, because here we have to make connections, prior knowledge. This is evaluated with the inference and prediction part, making predictions, questioning. So students not only have to answer, but they also have to ask questions in order to show comprehension of the story. Visualizing. I'm so sorry for this. So students will have to diagram, okay, in order to show also understanding of the story. Through the images, the pictures of the story, they could, for example, I was thinking of drawing the pot, and inside inside, let's say, like a mind map, they could put vocabulary that could relate to the first stage of the class, where we were brainstorming what they expect from these leaders, and they can put some values that they found on the story. Okay, for example, honesty, honor, respect, etc. Okay, this could be a very simple way also to include students with special needs, so they can also show their understanding of the story. Determining importance, so students also mention important main ideas and also details from it. Monitoring comprehension, so students can also ask, students show comprehension when they ask, what is the meaning of this word? What is the meaning of this phrase? Teacher, I don't understand this. So teachers can check that students are also motivated, interested in learning what they don't know. Inferring, of course, again, we can evaluate this part at the beginning of the class when they're making inferences about the cover and the title. And synthesizing, we can ask them to retell the story in a very few words, just to see if they use key vocabulary, they remember the elements of the story, and important and secondary ideas, and main and secondary ideas. So it's a little bit more extended, It's a little bit more advanced. So in this case, I think it will be a good idea to use this in secondary or even in batch, especially for the rubric. It can be adapted to any other text, any other reading that we can choose from the internet. So thank you so much, teacher. I know I've assessed reading before in class, but it is very important to always use a rubric or a checklist so students know what the teacher expects from them and how they can improve what they did and what they know. Thank you so much for the opportunity provided. And well, I hope you find this contribution a little bit refreshing. Bye and see you next time.